What if I told you that for most people, staying poor has almost nothing to do with luck or even how hard they work? What if it's really all about a set of invisible systems and, well, unwritten rules about money that most of us were just never taught? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you the real reasons most people stay stuck. And more importantly, we're going to show you the path to break free.
It's a crazy paradox, right? It sits right at the heart of the American economy. We're told we live in the wealthiest nation on earth, yet millions, literally millions of families, are walking a financial tightrope. They're just one unexpected bill away from complete disaster. And look, this isn't about blaming people, it's about understanding the game.
And this is not a small problem. Just think about this for a second. A stunning 44% of all workers in the United States, that's 53 million people, are trapped in low-wage jobs. This isn't some freak accident. It's a core feature of how the economy works right now. So the real question is, why? What is locking so many people in place? Well, the answer starts with what we're taught, and maybe more importantly, what we aren't. Okay, let's dive into the first piece of this puzzle, the knowledge gap. You can think of poverty not just as a lack of money, but really as a lack of specific financial education. There's a rule book for building wealth out there, but most people never even get a chance to read it. Our whole education system is, frankly, fantastic at teaching us how to be good employees. We learn how to follow instructions, how to pass exams, and how to get a job. But where's the class on how money actually works? I mean, when do we learn about investing or tax strategies or the real cost of debt? We graduate knowing how to earn a paycheck, but we have no clue how to build wealth from it.
This quote from Robert Kiyosaki just nails it. It captures this fundamental shift in mindset. It's the difference between trading your time for money, which, by the way, has a hard limit, and owning things that generate money for you, even while you sleep. This is the core principle that really separates the wealthy from, well, everyone else.
And this right here, this boils it all down to the simplest rule in that unwritten playbook. Kiyosaki defines it just like this. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability, on the other hand, is something that takes money out of your pocket. It sounds so simple, but I promise you, understanding and actually applying this one rule can change your entire financial future. So let's make this crystal clear. Assets, we're talking about things like stocks that pay you dividends or a rental property that generates cash flow every single month. They're like little economic engines you own. Liabilities? Well, those are things like car loans, credit card debt, or any gadget you bought on a payment plan. They just drain your resources month after month. The wealthy focus their lives on buying assets, but everyone else, they tend to rack up liabilities, often thinking they're actually assets.
And here is the trap. So what happens when you get a raise? For most people, that extra income gets instantly absorbed. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, more expensive vacations, you know the drill. This is called lifestyle inflation. Your expenses creep up right alongside your income. And because of that, you never actually get ahead. You're earning more, but you're just as broke, trapped in a cycle of spending that makes real wealth accumulation impossible.
But here's the thing. Financial literacy is only half the story. I mean, what if the game itself is rigged? This brings us to a really powerful counterargument that poverty isn't just a knowledge problem, it's a systemic one, full of hidden barriers that are pretty much designed to keep people stuck. Experts have a name for this. They call it the poverty trap. And it's not a single barrier. It's a complex, interlocking system of them. The best way to think about it is like a spider web. From unaffordable housing to predatory loans, all these factors reinforce each other, making it incredibly difficult to escape no matter how hard you work or how smart you are. And this right here is one of the stickiest parts of that web. It literally costs more to be poor. If you don't have enough money for a security deposit or you don't have a good credit score, you're forced into these high-cost options. This bar chart shows the absolutely insane interest rates of predatory loans. So a credit card might have a high APR, sure, but a payday loan can have an annual rate of over 450%. That's a business model built to make sure you can never, ever pay it back. Another huge structural barrier is housing. Right now, in the United States, there is a shortage of 7.1 million affordable rental homes for the country's lowest income citizens. This forces millions of families to spend more than half their income just on rent, which leaves almost nothing for savings, for emergencies, or for getting ahead. And then there's education. It's supposed to be the great equalizer, right? But as you can see, student debt often becomes just another trap. The pressure to repay these massive loans forces so many graduates, especially from low-income backgrounds, to just abandon their passions and chase the highest possible salary. This limits their career choices, and ultimately it restricts social mobility, which just perpetuates the very cycle education was supposed to break. So, which is it? Is it a personal knowledge problem, or is it a systemic problem? The truth is, it's both. The two feed each other, creating this powerful, self-perpetuating cycle that is incredibly hard to break out of. Let's just trace how this vicious cycle works. So it starts with a low-wage job. That's a systemic issue. Because of the low wage, you can't build an emergency fund. That's your individual financial situation. Then, a single unexpected event happens, like a car repair, and it forces you to take out a high-interest predatory loan. That's another systemic trap. And now, you're deeper in debt, which makes it even harder to save, and it locks you more firmly into that low-wage job. See the loop? And the truly scary part is just how many people are vulnerable to this exact cycle. A recent survey found that 27% of American adults have zero emergency savings. Not just a little bit, absolutely nothing. This means more than a quarter of the country is one flat tire away from a financial crisis that could trigger that entire downward spiral. Okay, so the system is tough, and the knowledge isn't widely taught. It's really easy to feel overwhelmed. But understanding the game is the very first step to changing your outcome. So let's talk about your path to freedom. What are the actionable strategies you can actually start using today? One of the first strategies people turn to is the side hustle. But as this chart shows, for a lot of people, it's not about passion projects or extra spending money. For 44% of Americans with a side hustle, that extra income is essential just to survive, to cover basic living expenses. It's a direct response to a system where one job just isn't enough anymore. So what's the actual roadmap out of this? Well, you can break it down into a 5-step framework. First, commit to your own financial education. You got to read the books, listen to the podcasts, and learn the rules they don't teach in school. Second, aggressively spend less than you earn. This is how you break the cycle of lifestyle inflation and free up capital to work for you. Third, start investing, even if it's with small amounts. Time and compound interest are your greatest allies here. Fourth, build multiple income streams. Don't let one job be your single point of failure. And fifth, think long-term. Stop chasing quick wins and focus on building real sustainable wealth over years, not days. Now, as you take these individual steps, it is so important to remember this. These systemic barriers, the unaffordable housing, predatory lending, low-wage jobs, these are not forces of nature. They are the results of policy decisions. Recognizing this shifts the whole story from one of personal blame to one of systemic accountability. Your individual effort is absolutely crucial, but it happens within a larger context that we all have the power to change. So we're left with this. The system, by default, is basically engineered to keep the vast majority of people just running in place. But it's not a prison without a key. The key is knowledge. It's understanding the rules of assets versus liabilities. It's recognizing the systemic traps, and it's making deliberate choices to build a different path. The real question isn't whether the game is hard. Of course it is. The question is, now that you know the rules, what's your next move?